Morning Uganda Extra.
From the hour of 6:30 when we began with Good Morning Uganda until now with the extension which is Good Morning Uganda Extra, I'm Robert Chirabonyonyitono and very excited to have you on board with us as we are going to be discussing a very pertinent issue to our country, and that is issues regarding our national carrier, that is the Uganda Airlines Operations 2023. We are quite in a new year. Well, soon we'll be ending the second month of 2023. So we want to know, how is Uganda Airlines, our national carrier, our pride as a country? Those of you that remember, we once had no national carrier, but then we had the opportunity, the joy of seeing our flag fly high in the skies through Uganda Airlines. We made a number of purchases. We had about the four regional planes. Then now we have those that can travel above, the bombardiers. Then we have a lot that Ugandans need to interest themselves about. So joining me on set this morning is the corporate affairs manager and public relations manager, Uganda Airlines, Shakira Rahim Lamar. Hope I've gotten the right pronunciation for that. Good morning.
Good morning, Robert. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm very excited, of course, to know more about the airline, despite so much reading, so much in my field. But well, when I have a person like you who speaks for this airline, there's so much we need to get to know. Now, Shakila, let's begin with how this has been unfolding at this place. So much has been talked about, but of course, there's always what is said and what is the fact. So, how is our airline doing 2023?
I think we're doing very well. Right now, we're in our low peak. And then looking at December ended well on a high note. Of course, having assumed the presidency of African Airlines Association.
Which was a bonus. We congratulate you.
Thank you very much. And we're looking forward to November when we bring over 500 delegates from all over the world. These are manufacturers, these aircraft manufacturers, spare parts, tech giants in aviation, and all the airlines, most of the airlines, of course, coming to Uganda. And that is a plus for our tourism industry and also to market our country in a positive way. Going back to the airline, the operation is going well. And we are still flying to 11 destinations. And we're looking forward to opening more routes this year. And of course, we are still looking forward to opening Mumbai, China, that is Gwangju, and also Jeddah and Riyadh. We're looking at Goma, Lubumbashi. We're also looking at London, which is the highly anticipated route, but not forgetting Lagos and Abuja. Yes.
Now, when you talk about business is fine, let's begin by looking at now people using Uganda Airlines. I think that is very critical because we know when you go to a national or the international airport, there are quite a number of jetliners, there are quite a number of planes, there are quite a number of choices. For Uganda Airlines, which is our national carrier, what has been public's perception towards this airline in terms of using it for travel?
Yeah,
the indigenous, the Ugandans themselves.
All right. I'm always asked the same question that, you know, with the airline, what Uganda Airlines and the choices people make to fly any other airline. And I say, yes, it's okay to, of course, put yourself out there. You know, you just dive into the ring, of course, tussle it out with the big boys. And it's okay for us because, you see, what we are offering is something different. We're offering the Ugandan warmth, hospitality. And I'll tell you that when you get on board Uganda Airlines, you will not want to fly anything else regionally because the service is impeccable, the food, the people who are handling you are amazing. And our fleet is new, it's modern, comfortable. and the service generally good. So I would say that people have supported us, and Ugandans have supported us. So we are in for a long haul. Yes.
Well, that said, but we see in every business, you must have something that you look at where you stand out of the rest.
Yes.
Yes, it's a national carrier. We know, of course, that as being our own. But what are those, if there are, that you believe have been the success, as you've said, to Uganda Airlines? What is that foundation? What is your niche in this business?
So our niche basically is to, for example, I would say, I've talked about our hospitality and our warmth as Ugandans. But also,
Because I would say that is almost general. All the airlines I've tried to move in,
no, but
there
there's
could
a
be very few. If there's any place I've been received and I feel yes, right from the smiles, you know, airline people, I must say that in terms of
But then
customer
you-
care on board. I don't know the rest here, but when you get on the flight,
But then you need to fly Uganda Airlines. Then you'll test the difference. But going forward, I think also maybe I would want to take you back to 10 years ago. And that is where our niche is. 10 years ago, Uganda Airlines was not in existence. But now, when you want to fly to, for example, Kinshasa, a direct flight, who would you think about? Oh, Burundi, Bujumbura, Juba, with the friendly frequencies, number of times in a week, in a day. It is us, because there is nothing like a direct flight. So that is our niche. For example, we have now Ugandan businessmen who have set up factories in Bujumbura because of the connectivity. They can just wake up, book a ticket, just go, fly out, and come back. So I think the ease of connectivity regionally, the service on board, okay, and also we've been able to stabilize these routes. For example, 10 years ago, the Nairobi route, it was between $500 to $1,000. But right now you can get a return ticket as little as $280 US.
wow.
So with those, you see, there are things that a national carrier will bring to you, give you, things that you will not touch, but feel. So with routes, with the route stabilization, with connectivity, I think that is the niche. And for example, when we open our long-haul flights, then Ugandans can tap into the export market. So right now, somebody who's aware that London is coming, Gwangju is coming, Mumbai is coming, they should be thinking about what they are going to take to these destinations. For example, we need to develop these routes in terms of cargo, because cargo is the next big thing.
Actually, a number of airlines make more money in cargo
Yes.
than they make in
Remember
passengers.
when
Business
COVID
is more
hit,
in cargo.
cargo was the
Yes.
only thing that was moving. So now if I was a Ugandan, I would be wondering how I'd be adding value to my produce. I would be looking how to package my produce. I would be thinking about phytosanitary and sanitary standards. So with this, it would help me to try and understand the industry, the regulations in these markets. Yeah. So these are the things that we're trying to develop with different partners, with traders. For example, even the opportunities for this country when these flights take off. For example, I'll tell you, over 400 people at any one time, they'll be transiting through Entebbe. What does that mean? So at any one time, if there is a disruption, you need a hotel that can take over 400 people at a go. So you can imagine if you're selling eggs, if you're selling pineapples, if you're selling passion fruits, people will be consuming these things. Yeah. And then also think about people who will want to transit, make a stop, and then go to Dubai, go to London. They will be leaving money, foreign exchange in this country, because they will buy some water, they will buy something as they proceed to these different markets or different destinations. So these are the opportunities that the airline brings to this country. Yes.
Well, one of the things I was waiting that maybe you didn't mention, I want to know how Ugandan is Uganda Airlines.
Oh, it's 80% Ugandan. And it's amazing to see that our own engineers, Ugandan engineers, that have come back home to work for the airline, that are the ones maintaining our aircrafts. And that brings me to another point that we have developed a strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan, and this one provides a new direction for the airline. So we have something we call a hangar, like a garage. So when we have something like that in place, we'll be able to have, and if we are certified for approved maintenance organization, we'll be able to maintain our aircrafts. So you see, the pool of engineers that we will require, and we're even bringing what we call the aviation optimism or enthusiasm into this country, because we want to also to nurture the next generation aviators, people who will be able to maintain these planes even in 20 years to come, people who will be able to fly the planes even 20 years to come. So with these things in place, as we are setting up the systems, structures, trying to create a regional hub in Entebbe. Yes.
Well, our viewers, we are still looking at 2023 Uganda Airlines operations, which happens to be our national carrier. And I have the manager, corporate affairs, and also the public relations officer, Uganda Airlines, with whom we are discussing this. Now, you've told us how, yes, we are doing fine in regards our airlines, but one thing that again comes to my mind that I feel we must dive into a little bit deeper are the routes, because much as we are letting the public watching us know what you're doing as an airline, we're also trying to make them understand the opportunities available in terms of travel.
Yes.
Because much as, yes, cargo is very important, also the passengers, and most of the Ugandans may look at travel first. So in the business community that may think so much about cargo. Now, let's dive more into these routes. There are a number of Ugandans that think maybe Uganda Airlines doesn't fly to these routes. Because when you look at these destinations, there are quite many away from the regional. When we hear soon being told that we'll be flying to London, when we hear Lagos, when we hear some of these destinations, are our flyers getting there?
Yes, to 11 destinations. And we always say Entebbe is the 12th destination, because when you're in Nairobi, so that's 12. So when you're in Nairobi, or Dar es Salaam, or Kilimanjaro, what we always say, gyro, when you fly to Entebbe, it becomes the 11th destination. So we're marketing also Entebbe as a destination, because our primary goal is to make sure that we get people to visit this country.
And I was very excited to understand that even people, now it's a transit. You know, people who come and they're going just through our airport.
Yes, you can imagine we have traders and tourists who are coming from Juba, connecting to Zanzibar, or from Juba traders coming from Juba, connecting to Dubai, Bujumbura, connecting to Dubai. And we have Kinshasa connecting to Dubai. So things are even going to get better when we open long-haul flights. So maybe I would tell you that where we fly. We're flying to Johannesburg.
That's South Africa.
That's South Africa. And we fly to Zanzibar, Dar es Salaam, Kilimanjaro. We fly to Kinshasa, Bujumbura. We fly to Mogadishu. We're flying to Nairobi. And we're flying to Mombasa. And Entebbe, definitely. Yes.
Now, how frequent are these flights?
So usually we have our frequencies are 4 times a week. But now Nairobi, we have 3 frequencies a day. We have morning, and we have afternoon, mid-afternoon, and then late in the night. But now Nairobi is one of our busiest routes. Yeah, Juba the same. So Nairobi, we had 4 frequencies before COVID hit. But now we've progressively increased the, the, the frequencies. So we started with 2, now of course 3. So then Dubai we have 4 times a week, because you know we have traders on that route who usually fly sometimes 4 times a week. So we have mainly traders on that route, and also other routes. We have 3 times a day, rather 3 times a week, twice a day. These are the frequencies, and the schedules keep changing because of the summer and winter. Yes.
Now, this brings me to the question that I know many Ugandans would love to know. You know, airline or aviation is a very expensive venture.
Yes.
Globally, governments make a lot of investment there. And yes, one would say profit may not be something you could look at very quickly, because it's a long time rewarding business. But talk about airlines. I was reading some journal. It was looking at airlines globally. And one of the things that shook me was it is like none is making profit globally. And they're calling upon governments to invest in these airlines because I think COVID hit them, and issues of profit now remain a dream. So the first thing that came to my mind was home. I was like, oh, now what happens to Uganda Airlines if the American airline is not making profit? If these great airlines that have been there for years and ages are not making profit? Now let's bring this back home. Are we unique? Because I saw also us, we were put among those that aren't really making profit in terms of that.
True. And I'll tell you, the airline, when it started, when it was revived, 6 months into operation, it was hit by COVID. So that meant that it lost a year. So remember, we're in our 3rd year of operation.
Yes.
So when it hit, but we were lucky enough that our fleet is not encumbered. We don't have any interest to pay against it. So we bought the fleet cash. So there we are fortunate.
We didn't have dates.
No, they're not encumbered. So you'll find that other airlines that had fleet that is encumbered are even struggling the more. Okay, but this is a national carrier. It is a startup, and we have to invest a lot in it, because you see, the airline is a vehicle. It's an infrastructure. When you look at railways, when you look at roads, when you look at water transport, and then now air transport, yeah. Uganda is a landlocked country. It's not sea-locked. The only thing that can connect us to the world is through air, and we have to develop it. So it being an infrastructure and a gateway to something, to the country and out of this country, we're supposed to invest in it. And we all know that airline business is a lot of investment. For example, maintenance costs alone, maintaining the fleet. Yeah, we have mandatory trainings for pilots and engineers to be type-rated on this equipment. That's a lot of money, because they have to keep on sharpening their swords.
New technologies come up.
Yes.
And yes.
Yeah. So they have to be type-rated with that kind of equipment. When we got the Airbus, and most of our Ugandan pilots were flying the Bombardiers, CRJs, they had to be trained, trained so they can, and type-rated to this equipment. And successfully we've passed out like a 6, and then we've passed out 2 ladies on the Airbus, and this is an amazing thing. Then also, if you look at also the global figures, when you look at IATA estimates, 52 billion worth of losses globally.
That's the report actually I was referring to.
Yes, and then when you look at the projected investments of governments to try to resuscitate these airlines, it's $286 billion. So you find that the airline, with the issue of investment and and the issue of profitability, I think let's look at the social investments, what it brings. And is it still a going concern? And has it achieved the purpose of its revival? Because I'll tell you, self-handling, we debuted our self-handling project. We are looking at cutting costs. Because remember, we used to have a handler at the hub. And remember, the hub, that is where all the business starts, all the flights start from, to of course, to go across our network. So now we had a handler who was helping us with checking in passengers, handling the baggage, security, ramp services, cabin grooming, and any other services. But right now we have that under our control. And that means that we had to recruit, we had to buy equipment. And when you look at the business plan, self-handling was supposed to come in after 5 years. But when COVID hit, we said, no, let's re-strategize, bring it forward so that we can cut the losses, the costs.
Shakila, yes, Recruit says self-handling was a wise move in a manner that now the airline itself is handling this. But when you look at the investments that were made, equipment that were procured, some is so technical for our viewers, apart from people in aviation that can't understand this, it also costed Uganda a fortune. You know, then would we say, much as this was a permanent thing, but the investment put in to take over this, does it really explain that while we were trying to cut costs at such a hard time that the airline is going through, to it look more expensive than even maybe was it a wise decision at such a time? Or it would have indeed come later, because business was not doing very well, but we had to get what we could, then again to stop a service provider, but with massive investment into the stopping.
So I'll tell you one thing, Robert. You see, this investment of $3 million,
yes,
I'll tell you in 3 years, we'll be handling other airlines. Do you know that? We'll be doing what they call third-party handling. And with that, that will be another financing arm of the airline. It's like tomorrow when we build a hangar, we can handle or we can maintain other
plans,
other national carriers who have the same kind of fleet, or even, you know. So you see, these investments are big, but in the long term, the money will be recovered. And for example, when you look, for example, catering now, we have, of course, a service provider. But you can imagine how much we would save if we had our own catering unit. Because you buy everything, a spoon, rather, you buy everything. Everything is charged. So if we had our own unit, that would be a saving, and also you'll be creating jobs. Yeah. So you find that these investments in the long run are going to make money, and they should account for something. And I was still building my point on infrastructure. Even I was in the roads industry before, and I remember when there were plans to of course to develop the expressway, and some people of course had reservations about it. But look at how it has cut journey times. So these are the things that in the long run you will realize the profitability. Yes. And also if you're looking at the airline, the kind of investment we have, we are looking at in the future, of course we want to add more fleet, because we have a situation in some of these destinations. We need to get a mid-range to be able to bridge the gap between the Airbus and the CRJ, so that we can be able to carry baggage and also people, rather passengers. And then also, you find that the investments need to be made in cargo operations. We need two freighters for short and long, for a regional freighter and also long haul. But you see, also these investments in the long run, they will make profits. And the airline will be profitable in the long, but we cannot expect the airline to be profitable now. And then I'll tell you, we are not about to make profits today. You see, every time you open a route, that is more money. You're setting up in the other destination, you have to market the route. For example, I'll tell you, the fuel, when we started, it was 1.3 US dollars. But now it has increased a little.
Okay.
But now it has increased fourfold. It's 3.5 dollars. And now I'll tell you that, for example, Mumbai, because we're going to do Entebbe, Mumbai, Guangzhou, will be spending $120,000 one way, in terms of costs. Yes. So you find that we are entering these spaces, but of course with the hope in the long run that we'll make money, because we have to make our presence. We have to start these routes, because we are thinking that with the business flow projections, we'll eventually make money.
Now, Shakila, let's look at the so much initiatives that Uganda Airlines is carrying out now.
Yes.
You know, there's so much activity. 3 years of operation, if I must say. We are almost opening up routes every after 4 months or 5 months. We are taking on handling. We are having a lot of local projects. There's so much activity at the airline. And one would think, aren't we biting more than what we can chew and swallow? Because, yes, airline business, you must show presence. And of course, we know for many Ugandans watching us, it's not only about the business, but it's also about the prestige of a country. That also matters. About the tourism. Someone may be at a certain airport and seeing this black, yellow, red flag and is like, oh, they've never heard of Uganda. We must be open. There could be someone who's never heard of Uganda exists. And this is one way of them creating that love and saying, well, I must go and tour Uganda. So it may not be the money we make from tickets or cargo, but there's a trickle-down effect if you're calculating profits of an airline. Some are invisible and you may never see them actually, to be honest with you. But the speed at which you guys seem to be rolling out activity, is it too much? Won't we end up being everywhere yet nowhere?
Actually, we've been very slow. Because originally by 2020 or 2021, would have had 20 to 21 destinations, but we only opened 11. So you can imagine the business we've lost. If we had maintained that and we had opened those routes, then at least we'd be able to be looking at something like breaking even. But now we have 11 routes against the 2021 we had projected. So that scales us back. Then saying that we are jumping the gun, no.
Because when I compare with other, sometimes I want to compare my country with other countries because histories differ and all that. But when we look at Kenya Airways, they've been around for some time, Rwanda Air, we look at what they were up to in terms of routes and what we're up to in this period, I kind of see Uganda moving very fast.
No. I think what we've done, we've started with regional routes. Yes. And of course, people who have tested our product, those are the people that can also vouch for us when we are flying to the other destinations, long destinations. So we have marketed ourselves regionally.
Let me be quick to add
yes.
this. What drives us to open new routes? Is it demand driven? Is it out of prestige? Is it because other carriers do the same? What's the driving force?
Usually, entry into these markets, we have what we do a feasibility study that informs a business case for a route. We look at the numbers, load factors, we look at the airlines, we look at different things. We look at the laws of the country, we look at whether we can move our money back to the country, because you know there are countries where are short of foreign exchange and we can't bring back some money. Then we look at also, is there any export opportunities? Because you see, we're an enabler for business and trade. We also look at whether Ugandans can trade in these spaces, or these people are trading with us. We look at tourism potential, we can get people from that side. We also look at numbers, the purchasing power of the economy. Do people have money to really fly and then come to all these destinations, or come to Uganda? So there are a number of parameters that we look at. So it's not that we wake up in the morning and say, oh, we want to go to London, or no, because for example, London is a traditional route. The relations we've had with the country, the history we have with the country. We're looking at Ugandans living there, the tourism potential in that market, but even the connectivity. Because we were thinking that, you see, even if you're not flying to the Americas or the North America, but we can position ourselves in London, have an interline, and when you dropped in London, then and a carrier can take you to either New York or Washington or Seattle or Portland, or anywhere your destination is. So those are the things that we look at. For example, yesterday the CEO, of course, had fruitful deliberations with the Turkish airline CEO. We're looking at partnership opportunities. And then we've been looking at different partners, interlines. We have an interline agreement with Qatar airline. So we are not informed basically. We are informed by bigger things, by parameters that enable us to want to go to these destinations and serve the market. But also bearing in mind that these destinations are also served by other national carriers. So we always have to think about what are we offering. Yes.
Well, I'll be going for a short break, and when I come back, we'll still be discussing, that is Uganda Airlines operation for 2023. This is our national carrier, and it's us to keep our flag up in the skies. For any flying opportunity, any Ugandan, you will be proud to fly Uganda Airlines. But of course, that means that factors of demand and supply, and of course, quality of service, because it is your money. You're at liberty to fly any plane of your choice, but we want to see how best we make Uganda Airlines the most preferred, not because it is a national carrier, but because of the services they offer. We'll return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Frantz Fanon said, "Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it." I know a man who, in fulfilling his life's mission, has raised the foundations of many generations.
With Kampala captured and the leader of the National Resistance Army, Yoweri Museveni, now president, their task is to move forward until they make contact with the UNLA troops.
Do you see the NRM as being naturally aligned to either the East or the West in particular?
No, we are aligned with Uganda and with Africa. This assumption of the Western countries or of some outside countries that we must either be for the East or for the West is actually racist, to say the least, because we have got our own interests, and these are the ones we are pushing. And if we have got allies, those who agree with us, as far as our interests are concerned, then they are our friends.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that short break. Thank you for being with us on UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabo, and I have the Head of Corporate Affairs and Public Relations Manager, Uganda Airlines, that is Shakira Alamo, with me in studios, with whom we are discussing our national carrier operations for 2023. Now, still going back to being a Ugandan, I'm very passionate about our opportunities that we have for Ugandans. Please, let's get to get more of this. Most of the times, actually, when we're starting Uganda Airlines or revitalizing it, revamping it, whatever term one would choose to use, one of the things that came to my mind was aviation is a complicated sector. And I've been able to fly some national carriers. And right from the pilot, sometimes the air hostesses, everything seems foreign for the people. I've not yet flown Uganda Airlines, so I'm very keen on following up. But there's an airport I went to, I don't want to mention the country. And when I asked this person, what is there for you? Not against whites, I have nothing against them, but I'll definitely see. Tell me, well, look down, do you see people chasing those birds? They're nationals. And I'm like, so that's all the nationals can do here? Run and ensure these birds not going to these propellers, and said, well, airline is very complicated. So coming back home, what are opportunities that are there for Ugandans?
Okay. You can be anything you want to be in this airline.
Good. Good start.
From the chairperson, the CEO.
That is only one job.
That's what I'm saying. That you can be anything you want. You just have to sharpen your sword, you know, until that time. So you can be the chairperson, you can be the CEO, you can be director maintenance, because all these are Ugandans.
Good.
You can be the director finance, you can be me, you know. So the airline is trying to create the space of encouraging and nurturing the next generation aviators to take on these roles. Now, we have 80% of the staff, and these are Ugandans. The 10% are the expatriates and outstation staff who are nationals of those countries. But I will also tell you that Uganda, it's been 20 years since we had an airline. So we need a refresh. And it's okay to have expatriates, foreigners, who experience and are here to impart or immerse us with knowledge and skills to be able to take on these responsibilities. When you look at, can I tell you that in our neighborhood, you Ugandans have set up airlines. Those are the ones who have come back to run the airline. The best engineers, the technical, the pilots who have flown with different carriers in the Middle East, Far East, and in North America, and in Europe, and they're back home to invest here, to work for the airline. So I'll tell you, the airline is very Ugandan. The only thing is you position yourself, you better your skills, you can go back. It's not too late for you to go back to flying school. So I would say...
Actually, one of my dreams was to be a pilot.
Oh.
I usually tell people that story, but only when I went to visit a friend of mine
Yes,
that was staying in Mengo Hospital.
yes.
The parent was one of the top management of Mengo Hospital. It's called Ephraim, and was at Soroti Flying School. So he told me what it costed them to become a pilot. I knew that money would come nowhere.
Really?
I knew that money would come nowhere. So
Yes.
I said, you know what? But with your encouragement, it's never too late.
Yes. So, but the skill is the skill is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to have that skill. Then also the other opportunities for Uganda, because Ugandans will take the first call at any one time, as long as you have the right skill and the right qualification. And number two, the opportunities of the airline. For example, suppliers. I told you earlier, we've injected over $15 million into the economy, macroeconomy worth of local contracts. People supplying different things, paper, textile, they're supplying cabin service lines, cabin products. So there is a lot of opportunities for Ugandans. So you find that we're also creating direct and indirect jobs in that. And that will continue. But then also, still, when we open these routes, we would like Ugandans to be the country managers of the airline in these other countries, because they understand the Ugandan, they understand the airline, they understand they would understand the business better. Yeah, but those are Ugandans that, of course, will have the skill to do that. So the airline is, I would say, it's 100% Ugandan, but we also need experts to help us get the much needed skills, because you see, you cannot grow without exposure. Yes.
Airline opportunities for Ugandans. Opportunity only comes to those that are prepared. So how do you position yourself as a Ugandan to benefit from all the opportunities that this airline has given us? And of course, meaningful employment, I'm quick to add. We don't want to only see Ugandans there all chasing birds, not to enter propellers of planes. We want to see, like I have Shakila here with me, and rightly said, from the CEO, from the chairperson, all these are. So how do you position yourself? Now, last year alone, about 700 tons went through, that is our airport. And this brings me to the element of cargo, because this is also one of the areas that we know airlines make good money in terms of cargo. Now, we have the Airbus, there are two Airbus, and we have the 4, that is the regional jet liners. Some would call them the Canadian jetliners. How are we doing in terms of cargo?
Actually, maybe to just correct you a little bit, it was 70,000 tons.
17,000?
Yes, last year. Of course, all carriers combined. Yes, of course, with the market share of Uganda Airlines, which is 2.4%, which is still good, because you have different carriers positioning sometimes two 777s, one for passenger and one for cargo. So you're wondering, what are they carrying? So that is where we're saying that Uganda Airlines has to tap into the cargo operation or cargo business to get to position 2 freighters for purposely that. And with that, we'll be able to develop domestic operations. Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of business in Eastern Congo, and there's a lot of private operators who have positioned aircrafts to pick cargo from Congo, drop it in Arua, truck it to Entebbe. So we're saying that the Airbus is not enough. Of course, the belly has 36 tons, and of course, when you remove the passenger luggage and other things, you will have, for example, 12 tons to play around with. So we're saying that will also be not enough. Yeah, when we start long haul flights. Guangzhou is highly anticipated for traders. Mumbai is good for pharmaceuticals and equipment, machines, factories and stuff like that. So I find there will be a lot to carry back home. So we are saying that we need to tap into cargo. Yes, but developing cargo and developing this, we need to work with the Export Promotion Board, Manufacturers Association, with the traders, Casita, to be able to package our products well, to add value to our coffee, to add value to so many things, so that we can have real value exchange for it. Yes.
Well, time is not so much on our side, but as I get your final remarks, I want you to take some time and speak to the Ugandan watching us this morning to know that yes, there could be many, but Uganda Airlines must be your choice.
Okay. I want to thank Ugandans, really, because you see, this is the airline. The 2 ministries only hold it in public trust. But this is your baby, this is your national carrier. Your taxes go into this, they have gone into this. So it's up to you to guard it jealously. And even if things are going wrong, manage them internally. Because national carriers can only be marketed upon goodwill from their country, from the citizenry, and even their citizenry patronizing it. So you find that with everything that goes on, there are people in the airline who are running 24-hour shifts, making sure that those aircrafts take off and land on time. And they're unwavering, they're passionate, and they want the airline to grow. And some of us are building systems and structures so that in 20 years, when we are not there in this airline, but our children, our nieces and nephews can be able to hold on to something great. That is my message to Ugandans. Asante sana and karibu tena.
Well, I love the fact that you bring out the fact that people should own this airline.
Yes.
It is our baby, it's us to see it grow. And very importantly, when you mention, yes, even when things may not be going in the direction you wish them to, how best can we handle this internally? Because one of the problems we have with Ugandans, more so with the coming up of social media, we've gotten lost into knowing that what I'm saying, what I'm doing is not only a danger to me, but to people that will come after me. So we must always be nationalistic. I have a number of journalists in other countries. But one time I was asking one of the journalists something regarding United States of America, and they said, Robert, the answer I have is for the American people. I was like, what? I said, the answer I have is for the American people? He said, these are issues for Americans, and they can only discuss them as Americans. So Ugandans, when do we say that what I'm going to do is for Uganda? It is in-house, because this airline runs on public perception. If you are Ugandan, you wash your dirty linen, then what do you expect of an American tourist who wants to use this airline? And also sometimes this may not be proven truth, but just social media. So let's be patriotic, let's build, let's make this airline work. Have a lovely day. See you tomorrow, God willing.
Live from UBC